manufacture that piece of equipment has increased significantly. How do we as a community pay for that level of increase? I promise I'll be back. We also plan everything we do. And the reason we do that is because we don't want to go at the work that you've asked us to perform haphazardly. We want to make sure that we're thinking through every scenario, every opportunity, every advantage of what we have required for our community. One of the things that we're doing here over the course of the next year is we're updating our comprehensive plan. And a part of that update will take a year to complete, and all of us to work through that plan. Our staff and our team want to know what we want to look like in 40 years in 5-year increments. The state of Georgia requires us to go through those planning iterations, and as a part of that, we're going to ask you to come be a part of the planning process. We're also investing in our community. How many of you had the privilege of going over to see the work that's being done at the old Fairmont gym, the Heritage Park gym? What a gorgeous facility that's going to be. But we're making those investments so that we can make sure that we're taking care of our community. Because if we don't invest year over year, then the growth slows, and if growth slows, then our taxes go up. So it becomes this cycle that we struggle through year over year. But this is a beautiful facility, just like the other facilities do. All right, so let's talk about this positioning for growth. So one of the conversations that we've had over the course of the last few years is the growth that's occurring across the Audrey-Cableton Parkway. Back in 1972, the Georgia Department of Transportation actually did a study to 4-lane Highway 16 between Griffin and Butts County. And as a part of that 4-lane highway, the Department of Transportation actually invested about $60 million in that work. They purchased the land, they went through the planning process, and then they started construction in 1983. And for roughly 54 years from the time that the plan started in 1972 up until about a year and a half ago, that 4-lane highway set fallow for our community. I did a capstone project with the University of Georgia for that 10-mile stretch of property. The majority of that property, the parcels that set adjoining AKD, the amount of tax money that was spent on that 10-mile stretch of property, would anybody dare venture a guess as to how much tax money was derived from 10 miles worth of property? $10,000 a year. The reason for it is because the majority of that property is set in conservation use. Well, the Georgia Department of Transportation actually listed that highway as an employment corridor back 51 years ago. And it's just now starting to take shape as an employment corridor. We see that through the Lakes of Green Valley with the work that's going on there, with companies such as Renai, Caterpillar, or EcoPole. And now the extension of Renai just opened up their brand new logistical warehouse that is very difficult to see from 16 because it's a very large firm. But they just opened that facility up this past year. And that will contribute to the taxes that are being derived from the industrial manufacturing portion of our community. And that's important. I want to come back to that point. Because this is where our taxes sit right now. If you look at the scale, it's very, very lopsided. We are heavily burdened with our residential population tax revenue at 86%. Our commercial and retail sit at 8%, and our industrial and manufacturing sit at 1%. So what that means for me and you as homeowners is that we're paying the lion's share of revenue for the taxes in our community. So how do we get away from that? How do we make the transition? Well, it becomes really an evident discussion about transitioning from residential to industrial manufacturing and commercial. If you look at the far right side of the screen, you're going to notice that a very mature community, a very healthy community, has a much different perspective when it comes to industrial manufacturing or retail and commercial growth. And some of the things that we have to manage for our community as a staff, as we get direction from our board of commissioners, is don't run away with development. Don't move away from the eco-green that we have become so accustomed to. Don't run away from the opportunity to create this green space in front of all of our development and make it so, for lack of a better way to put it, non-Spalding County, because I absolutely love how our community looks. And I love the fact that we are moving in a direction where we have some industrial manufacturing coming in support of lowering our taxes. Because that's what this is about. It's about lowering taxes. So how do we feed this? How do we feed this industrial manufacturing facility development with the right level of skills and employment? Because as your screen shows in front of you, you've got 20,000 people who leave every day to go outside of our community to go work. And the interesting thing is they're going north. In my household, I live this every morning. My wife gets up, she gets up at 5:30, she gets dressed, and she leaves and goes to the airport. But I would dare wager that she's not the only one, because the majority of our community is doing the same thing. In fact, all of the reports are indicating that we have more people leaving our community going to work north, Spalding County, Atlanta, and beyond, than we have coming into our community. We've only got 60,000 coming in. There's only 5,500 of us that live and work inside our community. How do we resolve that? Because as we grow, as we bring development along the AKD, and as we provide jobs and opportunities in our local community, one thing that does for us is it reduces the amount of traffic that's on the road. Because people work and live closer to their work. But how many of you have an absolute disdain if somebody calls you and says, hey, can you come up to, and you have to go north on 75? I can tell you I hate it. And my wife, it takes her an hour and a half to get to work and an hour and a half to get home. And that's 3 hours of time that really is a wear on a body, on a car, on everything that goes on. So how do we resolve that without bringing more development or good paying jobs to our community? So I asked a few of you earlier, what you'd be interested in hearing and seeing. So as you see on the screen, you will notice that there is a star where the new airport will go. The new airport is actually under construction. The contractor is this week or next week, I don't remember which day it was, but it's either this week or next week, is actually starting work on the culverts for the property that will house the airport, and the culvert will be about, 70 feet underground, underneath the runway. So they've got a lot of work that they're going to get done. The amount of dirt that they will move for this new airport is about 400 million cubic yards of dirt. That's quite a bit. So there's a lot of work that's going to go on. When will the airport be complete? The latest that we're hearing is that the airport will be complete the end of 2030, the beginning of 2031. So it's 2027, so not far away. So I think it's going to be here sooner than later because all the work is going on in the background. Who paid for the airport? That's another question I get asked quite a bit. Year before last, Governor Kemp and the Lieutenant Governor and our local delegation worked together. Governor Kemp had $95 million allocated statewide just for airport money in his amended budget. Spalding County received $47.2 million of that 95, so we received half. Immediately after the state provided those funds, the Federal Aviation Administration allotted $40 million for Spalding County's airport. And just before Drew Ferguson left office, Drew Ferguson earmarked another $8 million for the new airport. So the majority of the money came from the state and the federal government. It did not come from us. See, some of the other questions that I get asked about the airport. I think those are all of the big questions that I get asked about the airport. The other items that are shown on the screen, you will see some in blue and some in red. Those are developments that have been approved by the Board of Commissioners. There are 3 data centers that have been approved. There are a number of warehouses that have been approved. Some of the questions that we get asked on a regular basis are data centers receiving tax abatements or pilots, what's commonly known as a pilot, paid in lieu of taxes? The answer is no. They do not receive any tax abatement at all. There's another question about logistical warehouses. Do logistical warehouses receive tax abatements or pilots? The answer is no, they do not. Warehouses have transient inventory. So what that means is the inventory comes in, they ship between trucks, and trucks just take inventory and go away, so there's no inventory for that facility. Well, since they are transient inventory sites, they do not receive a payment in lieu of taxes, so they pay for the upgrade to the property and all of the buildings. So they're paying taxes when they first come in. So come on, warehouses, because that affords us the opportunity to bring our tax burden down for you and I as homeowners. Some of the other things that we have going on, just as a discussion point, New Cold is a cold storage warehouse. They are coming into the community. Prime Trucking is coming into the community. Those two are partners, and they will be directly across the street from one another, physically across the street from one another. This is the first location in the United States where those partners are together. So for them, that's a big deal. They didn't know that they were coming together. So that was something that was good news for us. One of the other logistical warehouses that's coming that actually the news got out before the governor had a chance to promote it. So don't beat up for it, but it's a little unique company that most of you are aware of, called Porsche. So they will come with a logistical facility. I am really happy to share with you that we have some of the highest land companies in the country coming to Spalding County and wanting to do business. That's great news for us. One of the main reasons why they're coming is because through our Board of Commissioners and our Spalding County Water Authority, over the course of the last 2 years, they worked very hard to bring sewer into the AKB Parkway. In fact, the sewer plant will be constructed September and available for use starting in September. And that's one of the main reasons why we have such large companies, very well-known companies coming into Spalding County. And I'm very happy to tell you that this managed growth that your Board of Commissioners have dictated to staff, thou shalt go and make sure that we are building in such a way that we have green curb appeal, that we're putting berms and trees so that it's really hard to understand what's behind those big, large berms. That's actually a benefit for us when we put such high standards on these companies, because that means that we are selective with who's coming, and those who are coming are selective with us. They want to make sure that we are setting our standards very high and that we're going to hold everybody to the same standard. That's actually good news for us. All right, so building the foundation. So how do we work through this smart, sustainable growth for our community? We prepare. We have a strategic plan for most everything we do. We have a strategic plan for solid waste. We have a strategic plan for transportation. We have a strategic plan for our planning, and it's called a comprehensive plan. We plan to make sure that we don't get out in front of two things. One, the infrastructure that we're putting in play, and two, the money that we have coming for revenue. We want to make sure that we're doing this well. We're doing it so well that we get selected for all kinds of just really cool things. So as you're seeing on the screen right now, this is called cycling work. If you look in the top of the side, the left side, you're going to see today's date at 4:30. That's what the sky looked like at Blaylock Fire Station at 4:30 this afternoon. This system is tied into the National Weather Service, and it shows not only our weather in real time, but we have access to all the weather around us in real time, and we're the only site on the south of Atlanta on the west side of 75. And we were chosen because of the great work that your team does from the emergency management side. So Chief Holt, he won EMA Director of the Year. Chief Bird won Fire Chief of the Year. TJ, Person of the Year for GOPA. Kelly Carmichael was Person of the Year last year. We have one heck of a great team working for you. And we get selected for things like this that otherwise we wouldn't be selected for. This was a grant. We didn't pay for this, but Cyclone Corps and the National Weather Service came to us and said, hey, here's an opportunity. Would you, and they didn't have to finish that. We were like, yes, here's my hand. Figure out how to put that up. So we put that system up. But we also drive performance. So every Monday morning, our staff meeting, we talk about the projects that we have across the county and what we're doing for you with respect to the projects that we bring to the table. We want to make sure that we're getting back to those strategic plans and those strategic goals that our Board of Commissioners have put together for us. And then we talk about financial stewardship. How many of you keep up with the budget in the military every year? I make the statement My wife hates it, I make the statement, there's 3 times a year that are very, very stressful for me. Budget time, military time, and the rest of the year. So it is a challenge for us to make sure that we're providing the service that you're asking for at the lowest possible cost possible. Absolutely lowest cost possible. So what does our fiscal 27 budget look like? The majority of our budget goes to public safety. These are the top 10 that you're seeing. And I would encourage you to come to the meeting next Monday night because that will be our final budget discussion and our recommendation from staff to our board of commissioners for our 27 budget. This is our proposed millage rate for this year. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the second year in a row that we're going to ask our board of commissioners to set the full rollback. All right, so I want to call your attention to something. You look over the right-hand column where it says 2026, and you look down at the tax bottom where it says net tax percent increase is 6.84%. How many of you think that 6.84% is how much we're going to grow on your taxes for your home? Awesome. I'm glad that there was nobody that raised their hand because that's not true. That's how much growth we've had. So if I'm able to roll back your millage rate, then that means that we've got growth coming into our community. How many new houses have you seen across our community in the last year? We've already talked about Renai. Renai just constructed and moved into their new logistical warehouse. That's an increase. So that little bitty bit of increase helped me to roll back to the full rollback for the military. How many of you want me to roll back or make a recommendation to our board of commissioners to roll back more than just the minimum rollback? My hand's way up here. So I'm right there with you. But in order to do that, we've got to have development for our community. Now, does that mean we're just going to go crazy and go wild and build everything under the sun and take every piece of land? Absolutely not. That is never our intent. Our intent is to do exactly what you're asking us to do. Because remember that first slide I showed you about what we're hearing? We do hear you. I don't want that. My family lives here. I live here. And I love the fact that we've got more green space than development. All right, so did you know that in a month, give or take a week, you're going to have the opportunity to look at our budget online anytime, day or night, all the way to include being able to see inside my checking account? You will be able to see every bill that we pay. I want to talk about transparency. You're going to be able to see everything that goes on inside of my financial package. This will be public facing in such a way that you can drill down and see everything that's going on. Does that mean I'm going to get more questions? Yes. So show a little bit of grace when you call me, because I may have 15 questions in front of me. But I do want you to be able to see everything, because we're not hiding anything. All right, so what's next? what's next for us is a comprehensive plan. How many of you will come participate in that, please? All right, a few. I could use a lot more, because this comprehensive plan also puts in play our future land use map, So we need to hear from you what we want to look like in 5, 10, 40 years. Because how we look in 5, 10, 40 years determines where we make investments for our community. I'll give you an example. So Arthur K. Bolton Parkway was designated as an employment corridor 54 years ago. No money was invested in AKB until 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, an investment was made to put sewer on AKB. Well, as a result of investing in a sewer plant on AKB, we now have the likes of Renai, Newcold, Prime, Porsche coming to our community to bring our tax burden down for our residential properties, my house. So it becomes this cycle of opportunity. That's what that comprehensive plan helps us do. All right, number 2. Second thing is the Board of Commissioners are calling for a special local option sales tax in November, a referendum. Special local option sales taxes are very important, but this is not an addition to any. This is a continuation of. So we are rolling out of our transportation local option sales tax where we put asphalt down to resurface our roads. That plan is actually, that program has actually worked quite well. We had a 5-year plan. We designated which roads we were going to resurface 6 years ago. We have not strayed from those roads. We indicated that we were going to resurface 100 miles of road, and at last count, we're going to get right at 106, maybe a little more according to TJ. So we've actually done better than what our plan was. I'm happy that we've done better. The next block is going to be exactly the same. We are going to ask for needs, not wants. It is not a want-based special local option sales tax. In fact, there's the list that is being requested. So it's fire trucks, but the majority of it, about 61% of everything that's listed up there is roads. And what that affords us the opportunity to do through this special local option sales tax is take it from a 5-year SLOSS to a 6-year SLOSS, and we'll work very hard to hit every road that is in desperate need, because we're going to make a little bit of a change to the way that we do roads. So instead of doing an entire road, because 50% of it may be perfectly fine, we're going to a program that will focus on segments. So only those segments that are in desperate need. We have one road that I think the PCI score is 20. The road is off. The road is just completely destroyed. So that would be one of the first roads that we would hit. And the way that the plan is currently constructed is that the road has to be a PCI score of less than number before it even gets considered. And the outside consulting firm, Roadway Assessment Services, came through and did the scoring for us. They used a truck with radar that actually looked through the road all the way to the bed to make sure that the roads that we were focused on truly needed work. So we have about 470 miles of asphalt road across the county. To give you an idea of the cost for just resurfacing, it's about $372,000 a mile. For Jackson Road, which we had to take down to the bed because the road was just in horrible shape. That was $1.2 million a ton. So, Tony Trail was almost $1 million for about 900 feet. So lots of money to resurface roads. So when we tell you that the program for our T-SPLOST paving roughly 106 miles over the course of 5 years was a great benefit for us, is an understatement. My dad asked me this question. He said, well, why don't you just get the state to pay for the roads because they collect all the taxes at the gas pump. We get about $1 million a year from the state of Georgia for road repair. And that's through the LMIG program. 2 years ago, the governor came up with a new plan called the Local Roadway Assistance Program, the LRA. And we get another $1 million. So at best, we get $2 million a year to do roads. Run the numbers, 400,000 per mile. You're going to wind up with maybe, if we get a really good price on asphalt, maybe 6 miles of roads per year if we just allow the state to do that. So at 470 miles and 6 miles a year, I don't think we'd ever catch up. We would never get out of the hole. So that's one of the main reasons why we don't rely on the state. But it is a challenge. I get that. So we talked about planning our future. This is the comprehensive plan portion. So please don't be a part of that. We're also working with our partners, not just with the city, but also with the state and other local jurisdictions. We constantly ask for state and federal funding through grant programs. We have a grant manager that works for us, and at last count, we had how much money in grants? About $36 million worth of grants that are coming in for us. The two parks, Ambucks Park and Volunteer Park, were both upgraded with grant funds. Spalding County received about $9.2 million in grant funds for those two facilities. And we are working through to completion. We're expecting to complete before the end of the year. We'll see how that works through, because rain always is a challenge for us for construction. And finally, we are in a position where we're almost finished with the budget and we're almost starting the millage rate. So we're right here in the middle between the two, while we're also thinking about what we're going to do for next year. Because one of the challenges that has been imposed upon us is through our local delegation and our state representatives. Senate Bill 33 has been enacted, and you may have seen some of that information that came across the news, where the state has opted us, Spalding County, into House Bill 581, which means that effective next year, 2027, those of us who have homesteaded properties, our valuations will be frozen. So what does that mean for us? That's a great question. We're still working through a lot of those details, because when you freeze a valuation on homesteaded properties, then there's an equation that has to be made. So the equation is this. So increased valuation either equals equal or less millage rate to obtain a revenue to fund county government, or no increased valuation, potential millage rate increase to obtain revenue. Because math only works one way, right? A plus B equals C. Well, if you reduce your valuation, your millage rate increases in order to obtain revenue. So, what does that mean for us moving forward? I don't know yet. I can't answer you. It's going to be a lot of consternation and a lot of sleepless hours between now and next year. I can tell you that there is an adjoining county to us that has a floating homestead exemption, and they are severely upside down in their revenue, and they are in dire straits. There's another jurisdiction that's adjoining us that, like us, opted out of House Bill 581, that are now being opted into House Bill 581. And with the amount of growth that they have coming into their county, commercial growth coming into their county, they will most likely be okay. So we're sitting in between those two. So how do we manage through challenges that are inevitably going to hit us over the next 12 months? That's what's going to keep going. With that said, I would entertain any questions.
Well, I gave each of you all an index card, and some of you have given them back to me, and Steve or the commissioners will answer those questions. And if you have something that comes up while we're talking, we'll take them, and then we'll get them. Okay? All right, that's what we're on questions now.
All right. So, that's what we're going to sign off the base here. All right, so I'm going to read these, and I'm good. I'll read it. So the question is, has there been anyone to sign on for the data centers which have been approved? So I take this to mean, are there any end users who are known by the county for the data centers? Does that sound right? I don't know who wrote this, so I just want to make sure that that's the right question. The answer to your question is yes, there are at least one end user that has signed up, and I'm under NDA. But you would know them. They are a big name facility. Okay. Estimation on how much our utilities will go up. The Public Service Commission has frozen all utilities for Georgia Power for the next 3 years, and I had the opportunity to sit down with Aaron Mitchell in April, and they are working to extend that freeze. So let me answer it a different way. I had the privilege of being one of 3 members from ACCG, our association, who was sent to Loudoun County, Virginia, to tour data centers. And Dominion Power was asked this same question while we were there, and the answer was this. The residential utility bill for power in Virginia was reduced by 32%, and the power for the data centers was increased by 12%. So the data centers were carrying the bulk of it. How much of an impact will these have on property value? Let me answer it this way. How much impact will any warehouse have on property? So there is one property that I am aware of that is here in Spalding County that was not beside a data center, but was by a warehouse. And that property was listed as AR1, so it was agricultural residential. They sold it at commercial prices, and the cost of that they received paid for them to go on permanent vacation, I think. So it was an interesting setup. Environmental impact, that's an interesting one. I live in Sun City Peachtree, and just the houses alone, just the houses, not the amenity center, not the golf course, not any other thing, just the houses. Between July 1st of last year and the end of May, that community used 66 million gallons of water. The jail used, same time period, used 18.3 million gallons of water. One data center will use 9.5 million gallons of water. So the data center will use less water than the jail. It's a closed loop system.
According to your own DRI studies, data center on cottage will use 30,000 gallons per day.
That's correct. So do the math, 30 times 365.
And comparing a warehouse to a data center is a bad comparison.
I didn't, I compared it to the jail. I compared it to our jail. Our jail will use 18.3 million, our jail used from July 1st until the end of May.
You used the comparison between a warehouse and a data center.
No, I did it between the data center and the jail. The jail uses 18.3 million gallons. The data center will use 9.5. Okay, will these centers be receiving tax breaks? No, the answer is no, they do not receive any tax breaks. Will these companies be contributing to our infrastructure or school systems? Yes, tax money, absolutely. They have no kids going to school, and they pay a significant amount in taxes for both the county M&O and the school system. Okay. Let's see, what proactive approaches are being taken to reduce crime in the county? I'm going to encourage you to have a conversation with the sheriff for that one. I think we've got the best sheriff in the state. Collections centers should go back to operating on pre-July 25 schedule.
Steve, I have a question. So those are my questions. That first question about what proactive approaches being taken for crime in the community, that should be everybody's.
I'm sorry. No, the question was, what was the question then? What proactive approaches are being taken to reduce crime in the county or something like that? And the answer was, ask the sheriff. But it should be everybody's concern, not just the sheriff's department. And I would think that the county leadership should be working in conjunction with that department to fix, because we have a huge problem in this county of crime. And it's not getting any better anytime soon. And we need to really take it seriously and to say, go to the sheriff, that to me is not a good answer. You guys should have an answer to that. We're working with them, discussing with them how we can improve our community.
I do appreciate that, and you're exactly right. There is an opportunity for us to make sure that we routinely have conversations with our sheriff. In fact, I had a conversation with the chief deputy just last week, and we were talking not only about the jail and the challenges we have with the jail and how we support recidivism and how we bring people back into society. But that is.
People out of jail, that's what we gotta fix.
That's correct. You can only eat the elephant one bite at a time. So one of the opportunities for us immediately is to figure out how to support and encourage the jail issue.
Something started, so.
Yep, absolutely. All right. The question is, how many locations do you plan to approve for data center zoning? I don't think that I've got any kind of answer for that, because it's not our intent to build out the community with data centers. I'm not quite sure how to answer that one. Can a clause be implemented to give property owners a tax break? Can I give you one better? What about a local homestead option sales tax? So the state of Georgia actually afforded us the opportunity to do an L host for our county. And an L host actually puts more money toward homesteaded properties than a floss. So which would you rather have, the floss or the L host? The L host is directly targeting homesteaded properties. So that's one of the main reasons why the state put that into play during this last legislative session. If we put that out for a referendum in November, would you vote in favor of it? I
I'm
would.
71 years old. I've been paying school tax for 26 years. I've never had a child in school in this county. I'm still paying school. Your question?
Actually, I have no control over the school tax. That's handled through the school board. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do is go and have a conversation with our tax commissioner, because our state legislator has actually enacted a higher exemption for those who are 65 and above for reducing your school taxes.
My school taxes should be done away with. Period.
All right.
And you should be able to answer that question.
I can't answer that question because I don't have anything to do with school taxes. I have absolutely nothing to do with school taxes. That's handled through the school board. Okay. Who is updating zoning and ordinance, and how long before completion? So not only is our community development supporting that effort, but every single department for the county is working to update not only the zoning ordinances, but for the county ordinances as well. Truck traffic on Jackson and Tomachichi. So our chief code enforcement officer is standing in the back of the room, Luke Fletcher. I can tell you that they spend a considerable amount of time writing citations, not just on Jackson for the truck traffic, but across the county.
I'm sorry if that's what happened. That was absolutely not happening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? There is no enforcement on Tomachichi. None. I watch daily as dump trucks leave the quarry, run fully loaded over a 24-ton weight limit vehicle. I've claimed the sheriff's department, I've claimed officers individually, and I have no response.
So the question that's being asked is, why is truck traffic not being enforced, or no through truck traffic not being enforced on Tomachichi? The majority of those trucks are going to the new substation that's being constructed by Georgia Power, and they do have a right to travel Tomachichi.
24-ton weight limit bridge,
I can't.
carrying the D9 dozer, and dump truck loaded with crush rock.
I'm in full agreement with you because we all have to pay for that bridge. And the challenge that we have is that Georgia Power has the right to travel it. And if they tear the bridge up, honestly, if they tore the bridge up, then we've got somebody to go help us pay for that bridge, because we would definitely go after them.
Well, I'm also concerned with the withdrawing of water by Georgia Power on that same property on the west side of Tomachichi.
They are another entity that has condemnation rights. So
No, sir, they do not. The EPD says they do not have authorization. I have that here with me.
I will let you take that up with them, because we have done the same. We do not have any control over Georgia Power. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a business truck owner. We have that beautiful Jacksonville, which always been on these things unpainted. And they are coming down Jackson and taking a left. It would be very easy for them to go down 16 and take a right on Tomachichi. And the difference in Tomachichi would be exactly the same. And they would be using a state highway as opposed to.
You're correct. Jackson Road is marked all the way through, no
I don't know
trucks.
how you would monitor that.
Yet every day there's trucks up and down the road constantly.
Yeah, it
I
is.
used to ride that back every day. Up and down.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge for all of us. Yes, sir.
Can I also say something to back up here? The next Board of Education meeting is June the 16th. So, at 6 o'clock, 216, I can't read it, 216 South Sixth Street. So you may want to go and talk to them and address the tax concerns there.
Please. So the next Board of Education, June the 16th. So please go and have your voice heard by them. All right, so who will manage the new airport? The Griffin Spalding Airport Authority oversees that airport. It will be a regional airport, so right now it is the regional authority that will receive that airport when it's completed. So Butts County, Spalding County, Lamar, Pike. So it will be an airport of regional significance, which actually carries another term for the FAA. The expectation is that it will be self-sufficient when it gets there. I know I'm right there with you. The current one is not. We are still contributing to funding that airport. Do I think the new one will be? I think it will be in a much better position, because right now the runway will be 5,000. They're permitted to 5,500, and they're asking for an extension to 6,000. So that's actually going to be significant for the airport sustainability. The reason for that is because the current airport with the linked runway cannot house corporate jets, because the insurance will not allow them to sit on property. The new airport will allow them to house corporate jets because of the length. So what does that mean? It means that for every corporate jet that is sitting here in Spalding County, we not only receive tax money for that jet sitting here, but it's a rental rate that's higher for that jet because of the size of the hangar that they're going to need. So that will actually support the sufficiency of the airport.
It's not hot, right?
No, 5,000 to 5,500 is a reality.
And money,
I sit on the regional authority board, and we're already getting requests for corporate jets to come. So for that, I'm happy. There's not enough space in Atlanta for corporate jets right now, so they're already pre-buying for hangar space. That's actually good news for us.
I have a question to go with that, before it's asking you, what's gonna happen with the current airport?
All right, so the question is what's going to happen with the current airport? The current airport will have to be sold, property will have to be sold. Some of that money will have to be going back to the FAA because the FAA has invested in that airport for a long, long time, and they're wanting some of that money back. So it will come back to the county, not us, but it will come back to the county for development. Because I'm sure that someone will develop that area once it comes back to the private use. The question is, does the DOC listen to the pre-planning committee recommendations? So you're talking about the planning and zoning commission. I think that's the question that's being asked. The answer is yes, they listen. They also take into consideration legal requirements and a plethora of other issues that are going on across the county, but they do listen. How is the county addressing the needs of low-income families and working parents? So one of the things that Commissioner Flowers Taylor is a part of is the collaborative here in Spalding County, and they support and help our low-income families. Could we do better? Sure. But the question is, what do we need to do and how do we need to do it? Please come be a part of the collaborative board. Come and participate in the meetings and offer and share ideas. I know that you would love to hear from the community. Commissioner Flowers Taylor is just very much a part of this community, and it shows every month when she shows up for the gazillion meetings that she's part of. She's a part of quite a few of them. And if you care to share anything about the collaborative, what they do.
Well, just in answer to that question, there is a development in very community. It would not be subsidized, but it would be working class market housing. And that is a collaborative partnership between Spalding County and the housing authority and a private developer. There will be at least, I think, an additional 200 units added to that community. As a result of our war on substandard housing, which eradicated about 1,000 houses throughout the city of county that was substandard. So, one of the things I think that we're not charged with is housing. Is it important to us? Yes, of course, because we feel that everybody should have a decent, safe place to live. But there are organizations that have humanities and the CHIP program, which is a first-time home ownership program that you can apply for through the housing authority that offers many opportunities for individuals who want to be first-time home owners, or people who just want decent housing and they don't want to buy it, they want to lease it. We're trying to make sure that those facilities are available.
And I think like this right here, government can't do it all. Take private people, to say, like, we got a nonprofit, Urban Outreach Association, there's a lot of nonprofits in the community. Give your time, give your resources, to help develop citizens.
They have a web page.
Just a few minutes, and I'll get that information for you. What the residents do to better support the county's long-term vision. I hope I covered that for you. Please come be a part of the comprehensive plan. It's going to be a year-long process, so there's going to be a lot of public hearings, a lot of public meetings, a lot of interaction with our community for that long-term vision, so please come be a part of that.
Do we know when the first meeting for that?
I do not. Our first meeting for staff is Monday, June the 22nd. So that's when we will get the information back from the consulting firm that's actually doing the comprehensive plan for us. So we will make sure that we get notice out to everybody when those meetings are going to be held. And we'll get plenty of notice. So thank you for asking. Let's see. New companies, what type of employment opportunities will citizens of Spalding County have? Will they bring their own people? Actually, no, we're going to be hiring locally because they are working right now with the companies that are coming are working right now with Southern Crescent to support and help them in their employment development programs. In fact, we've got probably more jobs than we have people even today. Renai is still looking for support. Caterpillar is constantly looking for support. Eagle Pole is looking to expand. There's at least even 5 more warehouses that are coming in right beside the lakes of Green Valley, so they will be looking for support. So we've got a lot of employment opportunities here locally. The question is, how is the county supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs? So this year in our budget, the Board of Commissioners actually approved for a hire of a person to go inside of community development that is specifically focusing on small business and entrepreneurs. And the reason for it is because our development authority is working on large industries coming in, and there's currently no one that is marketing and supporting our small businesses and entrepreneurs. So that individual will be focused on doing just that. There's a second piece to that. One of our developers is actually coming to improve to put in an entrepreneurial contractor space along AKB. So it will be just west of Bailey Chester. It will be about 30 acres on the north side of AKB, and I don't remember what the total number of entrepreneurial warehouse space is, but basically it is a small garage with a small office space that is co-located with many others, where someone who, if you're running a small HVAC firm or a small plumbing firm, you can pull your van inside, have all of your supplies and storage inside that small little garage area, and have an office space adjacent to that, so that you could have foot traffic come in and contract for work, or they could use that space for administrative offices. So I think the county is actually investing in an employee, and we've got developers who are investing in small business and entrepreneurial environment. So sorry, there's quite a number of questions about the old airport. Question is, are there any plans to remodel the community leisure? Okay. We're doing remodeling, very, very slowly. In fact, the elections office is the next on the list, and it's in work as we speak. Too slow for some, not fast enough for others. So this question is, were there any plans to bring family-focused activities to Spalding? What activities would you like to see? And this came from YouTube, so apparently we're live streaming. So it would be good to actually include the schedule for our Parks and Leisure Advisory Commission meetings online. And that way, those who are interested in certain activities can go to those meetings and become a part of those discussions. We have a very active group, and they lean in real hard for what they would like to see in our community for local activities. And family friendly would be good. Yes, ma'am.
The very next Parks and Leisure Commission meeting is Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the Senior Center.
All right, the next PLAC meeting is Thursday night, this Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and that meeting will be held at the Senior Center. So please come be a part of those discussions.
If you want to speak, you have to sign up.
Okay. If you want to speak, be there before 6 o'clock so you can sign up to speak before the meeting starts. Okay. Yes, sir.
I just have a follow-up on a comment on something you had said earlier. It's my understanding that what you said earlier in regard to the new House bill, which was passed statewide. You are correct in that the 2026 assessment is going to be a base year. It's also my understanding in preceding years, the example we were given, I'm on the current board of assessors. I'm one of 3 assessors, 5 years on the Spalding County Board of Tax Assessors. The 3 of us were in training and were required to have 20 hours training every 2 years. So what I'm about to say is, on a presentation, it wasn't in writing, but you folks said in the conference 2 weeks ago, that the 2026 year will be the base year for the assessment. All right, for 2027, and any year after that, the assessment can only increase by the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. Last year was 2.7%. I've heard just general comments made, it might go up as much as 3% per year, but it will be based on the Consumer Price Index for the preceding year. That's just adding a little bit more to your comment that was made earlier. So that's the most that can go up unless the legislature changes the law for stipulations.
So just as an aside, let me get you this. So if we had opted in several years ago, our valuations would have gone up CPIU, which was, as Byron indicated, 2.7%, as indicated by the Department of Revenue for this year. The valuations for our properties this year, it looks like, I don't have them in yet, so we don't have the certified digest, but it appears that our valuations for this year for our property will go 2.4%. So we would have been less than what the state would have imposed on us. If my numbers are wrong. So it's crazy how the numbers are. The system was working quite well for us. We were running down on those rates, so I wish they would have left it alone, but that's, you're here. All right.
All right, I got a few comments I'd like to make. First of all, advanced voting, early voting is going on this week. Next Tuesday, please go out and vote. However you want to vote your business, vote. It's important. We are representing government. We represent, you go vote who you want to represent you and the governor level and stuff like that. Please do that this week, 9 to 5. And then just like we did earlier, and then on Tuesday back to the polling place to be able to do it. Second, Juneteenth is coming, parade is coming back in a big celebration on Juneteenth. And then the 250th anniversary for the United States is coming up, and all of Griffin Spalding will be involved in that. Please pay attention, get your families out to be able to do good stuff there. It's a once in a lifetime thing for us. And lastly, last Saturday, we opened the veterans homeless shelter. And got it started. If you have opportunity, if you've got supplies that you could give, please let somebody know. We're interested in simple things as we bring in homeless veterans and put them, give them a place to live out from the bridge, tents, and cardboard to be able to do that. Thank you all for coming. This is a give and take. It's an opportunity for us to listen, for you to listen, for us to come up with ideas of how we want to do things in the future. Ideas are important to us, trying to figure out how best to do things. We're looking for solutions. We know that there's a lot of issues out there, but try to find solutions if you can. If you've got an issue for us, fine, bring it forth. But try to figure out if you can talk with other people about solutions on how to solve that problem. That's a great help to us. Oh, you have something you want to say? Yes.
Yes, I just want to say thank you to everybody who came. I would have liked to have had more information about the L post, because as soon as someone starts saying you get the tax exemption for your homestead, my ears perked up. So I hope that the next meeting definitely covers that, because that's something that we need to really look at quickly, for that. But again, thanks everybody for showing up. Appreciate it.
Well, Reggie's getting ready to talk. If you haven't done if you're 65 and you haven't done your taxes for senior exemptions, get ready. As soon as we get the notice of assessments out, you're going to have 45 days to be able to go and put that in. So if you missed the earlier one, when it ended in April, go and put that in there. All you have to do is bring your 1099s, your W-2s in, hand it to them. They'll figure it out, show it to you, and it'll take you 5-7 minutes to be able to get it done. And you'll get either 100%, 50%, or 25%. So the worst case is, no matter how much money you make in it, if you are over 65 and a homeowner,
If you're over 65 and you're a homeowner, then you're going to get at least 25% off of your taxes for that. So it's a big deal. And we talked about the schools and stuff like that.
Okay, I would like to thank everybody for coming out as well. And I also want to let everybody know that a great community just don't happen. It takes people to make it a great community. So like I say, there's a lot of local organizations get involved. Government can't do it all. Government should do it all. It takes all of us to build a community, and that's what we work on. And we listen to you guys. I'm the new guy on the block, but I'm in great hands. So, like I said, thank you guys for your time.
Is it too late to ask a question? I'm sorry.
Sir?
Is it too late to ask a question? If it is, that's
No, we
okay.
still have time to do, we're here to eight.
pick the mic.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, this won't take long. But I wanted to revisit the question about the data centers, like how many the leadership has a vision for placing in the county. And there wasn't an answer to that, but I'm telling you, that is a hot topic in this county. There are a lot of people mad about the data centers, and they don't feel like they're being listened to. And if you don't have a plan, you have to have a plan. So maybe if it could be explained why you don't have an answer as to how many divisions have in the county, because we, the people, the county residents, we don't understand why there's not a plan. So we just think that, hey, this is going to pop up everywhere, which I know they're not. And I'll have to say, I'm not opposed to them, I'm just opposed to having too many. So.
Thank you for your question, and I can share with you that, we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan when someone says, I'm gonna bring a trucking company in here. It is one trucking company too much, it's 5 trucking companies too much. I appreciate your concern and also concern of other people, but what you guys don't realize is that we spend a lot of time as a board trying to figure out everything that everybody else has had go wrong with that. Is it perfect? No, it isn't. Should we change the rules that we set up? I don't think so. But I think it's an unfair question to ask us how many businesses of a certain kind are we gonna have come here. Our goal in any industry, and I don't care what it is we look at every individual situation. We look at who's living next door, whose water is somewhere close to that. Is this enough already? So it would be wonderful to have a strategic plan that said if we had 4 data centers, we would never have tax again. But as you can see, we've had 2 approved already, nobody has knocked on our door. My husband Googled today, data center in Fayetteville, and pulled up behind that Spalding County has the most stringent data center policy of almost anyone in the country. Okay? That's the answer why we don't have one yet. So we can't project anything, because we don't even know what it looks like. Will we approve anything more than what's already on the table? If I have to raise my hand up, I can't tell you that today, because the first one is not here. I mean, I think some things that we could do to tighten things up might be that if you apply and you don't do anything in a year or 2 years, that go by. Someone's thing. But no, we don't have a plan for that. Just like we don't have a plan for the next JCPenney's or the next Macy's. When it shows up and if we can do something with it, we'll try to figure that out. But I mean, if we were able to project industry, we would have been put stuff down on our table. We would have put plenty of stuff up by Phelps and out by Eagles. It just doesn't happen.
The lady behind.
1, 2, 3.
I have a question when it comes to, she said we have 2 approved. You said that we have 3 approved, and how many's on the board? Were they in the, were they in the blue or were they in the pink on the map that you had up there? So, which ones are what up there?
Right. I don't have a pointer section.
That's fine.
So the one that's just to the south of the airport that has 3 buildings shown,
Yes.
that's the first one that was approved.
Okay.
The one that is to the east of the airport has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buildings. It's in the blue. That's the second one that was approved.
Okay.
The third one is the blue one at Wallace and Jackson Road.
Okay.
And the one that is pending is the blue one
With the red line through it or the one above it?
right here.
Okay.
The way that our ordinance is stating is that data centers have to be adjoining a major transmission line. So that's where they were located. And since that's where they're located, then the possibility is very, very slim that we would be seeing more because That's just a road restriction.
I'm gonna introduce myself, full disclosure. I am Sonia Woodruff Hawkins, Democratic nominee for Georgia State Senate District 16. I live in Fayette County, down the street from QTS Davis. You said that you guys had policies that were the most triggered. Are those policies available to the public? And the public see that, and where do you find that information? Also, my experience at the data center, it was in, I don't know if you guys read the articles that went across the country that said QTS got 30 million gallons of water. It was mainly just inconvenient in terms of we did not have the water pressure. Some people could not turn on the water. They reported it to the water company. QTS agreed to pay the bill, and they were not fined. Personally, as a resident, I felt that they should have been fined because we were told not to water our grasses in the middle of the drought, and they got seemingly special treatment.
Amen.
And they were not fined, and that is money that could have gone into infrastructure. It could have gone towards taxes. And I just don't think that that was the best decision. So what do you guys have in place for them? And I'm only here to hear the community's concerns because I have the same concerns as everybody else as a citizen, so.
Great question. I'm encouraged to have a conversation with Fayette County with regards to the water and how that.
Absolutely, but I'm asking specifically for Spalding County. What do you have in place for situations?
For water tanking or for water usage, we have probably the best heating engineer, it's running water quality and safety. So, we make sure that we're paying attention to the details. The water department has invested in engineers instead of water, production. So we are really for the decisions to make for bringing right people on, couldn't ask for just an absolutely. So the policy, it's not just policy, it's an ordinance for rights and ordinances for meeting. So we have meeting. We actually modeled the ordinance based on best practices out of Spalding County, Virginia. Mike Turner is the world's quintessential guru when it comes to ordinance development for data centers. Spalding County has 200 data centers. They run about 50 gigawatts of power through their system every day. I think that we, as a staff or that our board commissioners wants to have 2 data centers, absolutely not. I think that's just crazy over the top. But back to William's question about how many needs to be. Once the meeting gets in the wrong spot, 5 is not enough, it's in the right spot. Do I think we're going to get there? No, but that's not me. Georgia is a property right state, so if someone comes and wants to put something in a location, case in point was the mills back in the day. We had a number of mills here in Spalding County, and they came and put mills into our community. People grew up around that. So I don't know what's right now. What was right now?
So, yeah, so my concern, one of my concerns is that when you presented this slide, when you presented the slide that's up on the screen now, it was presented that the blue are all approved. And
Please forgive me, but all of them, there's only one up there. There's only one up there that is not been approved, and that is that large blue one there at Tomachichi and Chino, or not Chino, Tomachichi and Jacksonville, just off the vacation.
that's not for Jackson, but you all probably would be good, but, okay.
Yeah. Thank y'all for coming out, because I see a lot of people here from the community, from Spalding University, that when we took that class, we were able to learn so much about what actually goes on in the different areas of the community and of what the county offers us. So I would strongly recommend for you guys to take the class and get informed of that. I'd also encourage you to show up at the commissioner meetings, show up at the Board of Education meetings, show up at the Parks and Leisure Services meetings. Let the community know what you want. I didn't know a lot of stuff until I got placed on a couple of boards, and once I started doing that, I started finding out all kinds of good stuff. And it's opened my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't realize was going on or happening in the community. I don't always agree with what the Board of Commissioners do or what they say, but I respect them enough as elected officials to know that they're there for a reason. And if I have a concern, I can go to them. Just like any other member of any other board, there are several board members here of different committee boards and stuff. Just go to them, reach out to them. They're not monsters. They're just people like we are trying to make a better community. So I encourage you to go to that, to go do the meetings and everything. Go online to the website. All the agendas are posted ahead of time. You can look at what they're going to be talking about. And if it's not something you want to listen to, then don't listen to it. But if it's something that you have a vested interest in, like the tax centers, then go to those and pay attention and listen to what they're talking about and ask them questions. And I think doing this, we had them last year, I think, and they turned out well. I wish we had more people here, but they'll be online talking about it.
Anything else? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the opportunity to share. We very much appreciate you being here this evening. And we will be around for a few minutes if you have questions offline. Thank you.
Yeah, what's up? Yes, it's we can be maybe this is really good. Bigger job. They're on contract. I got one.